So there is one more potential trade that the Fever could make that I think is likely to happen and will change almost everything when it comes to the WNBA. And a big reason why I think this trade hasn't happened is I think they might be waiting till closer to the draft to make this trade. I think this could be a let's see who's available type situation. Or they might honestly be trying to trying to see what's going on, gauge the interest. But I think Katie Lou Samuelson is going to be traded from the Indiana Fever. They clearly are okay cutting players, doing everything they can to try bring in some players. And right now they don't have a backup point guard. They simply put don't. There is no way in hell that they are going to rely on whoever is taken with the 19th pick and the 20th pick to be the backup point guard. That's just not happening. They got rid of Grace Berger. You're not bringing Erica Wheeler back at a minimum. Plays too slow. Erica Wheeler was good last year, terrible at point guard. She was good when she played the 2, terrible at the 1. And the Katie Lou Samuelson contract is crazy, crazy high. But it's not going to be the worst contract in the WNBA this season. And I mean that. There is a team called the Golden State Valkyries. The Valkyries have no players and a whole bunch of salary. And the Valkyries, they're probably going to pay Julie Van Loo about 125-ish K. 125-ish K is what they're probably going to pay Julie Van Loo. They're probably going to pay Tammy about 150-ish K, and Monique Billings probably about 120K. This is a team that has like 4 max contract slots. And I think the smartest thing the Valkyries can do after striking out is take toxic assets off teams for picks. Like, that is what you do. This is what rebuilding teams do. And this is what smart rebuilding teams do. And because they've come from the NBA, they saw what the Oklahoma City Thunder did. The Oklahoma City Thunder took distressed assets and took picks for them. So, the Philadelphia 76ers want to get off Al Horford's contract. Okay, cool. We'll take Horford's contract, give us some picks. Then, the Celtics want to get off Kemba Walker's contract. What just happened there? I don't know what just happened there. Either way, the Celtics want to get off Kemba Walker's contract. And, okay, cool. We can match salaries. We can give you back Al Horford, but you're giving us a pick. So they basically turned taking salary into multiple picks. And if you are the Fever, you want that cap flexibility to bring in a new team. Katie Lou's role is just non-existent on this team. She is a 3 small ball 4. Sophie Cunningham does that. Lexi Hull's a 3. She is end of the bench on a near max contract. She has one of those unmovable contracts in the league. But I think Katie Lou is going to be sent to the Golden State Valkyries alongside the 2026 first round pick. And also, I think at some stage, the Fever are going to trade Christy Wallace plus one of 19 or 20 to probably the Sun. To just add team. Christy Wallace is on a minimum contract, but it's guaranteed money. A team willing to take a minimum contract with the Sun, with how little players they have and no one really wants to go there, give them a second round pick in what is a deep draft. That is my prediction. I think Katie Lou, because of the amount of salary that the Valkyries have. The Valkyries, if they're smart, they take on a Katie Lou contract. I want to see what other 2026 WNBA free agents there are. I think maybe you take on a Steph Dolson's contract, maybe. You take on her contract and try to get a pick from the Mystics, but the problem is the Mystics are tanking, so the Mystics aren't going to give you a high pick to do that. But teams that need cap space in free agency. So I'm looking at contracts, and I'm looking to see are there any toxic contracts in the W. So based on free agents in the 2026 season, and I'm not worried about Maisha Hines-Allen. They signed for that. Maisha Hines-Allen was an overpay because you have to hit a minimum salary. And yeah, again, the Valkyries have to hit a minimum salary, so they're gonna have to pay. They're gonna have to take in some free agents, and there's no good free agents left. So let's see, is there any 150, 160K on good team toxic contracts? There's actually not really, to be fair. There's no Mariah Jefferson maybe, but I think the Sky are happy with Mariah Jefferson. You would have to give up a pick to get off Mariah Jefferson, but the Sky, again, are tanking. So I don't think there's any toxic contracts really here. Maybe Jessica Shepherd from the Lynx. If the Lynx want to bring in another free agent, you might end up taking her from the Lynx, and she's not playing. Oh, I don't know if she's. I don't know what story. She wasn't playing in the finals anyway. And then you attach a pick to that. Any other bad? There's no other. To be fair, there's no other bad contracts here, in my opinion, in the W. When it comes to just getting players off your team, and then obviously Christy Wallace, I think, is on a minimum, isn't she? Dewana Bonner's on 200k, I think. Well, Niara Sabley's on the literal least paid player in the W. I didn't realize that. Saxon on 64k. What is Christy Wallace on? Christy Wallace on 66k. So she's on a minimum. So I think they might get off her. But I think if the Golden State Valkyries are smart, they're going to look for teams that are looking to sign free agents and don't have the cap space. And they're like, let's see, do you have any bad contracts? Give us bad contract plus a pick, especially for teams at the top. So obviously, the Liberty got off Sloop. The Lynx, let's say the Lynx want to sign someone for 120k, and they've Jessica Shepherd taking up 120k, and they want to sign someone, they don't want her. You're like, okay, yeah, cool. Give us your second this year and your second next year, and we'll take that money off you. That's what the Valkyries should be doing, and that's what a smart team is going to do. And the most obvious toxic contract for a contender team is Katie Lou Samuelson from the Indiana Fever. As a positive, Katie Lou Samuelson's playing okay and Unrivaled. Katie Lou would be a fine bench player on a bad team. That's what I mean. She's a fine bench player. She would average 8 points per game off the bench. And especially because she does the same thing as Sophie Cunningham, there's no point in having her in the Fever. There's just absolutely no point. And with that, I would say, if I am the Indiana Fever, I'm making this trade. And I think the Golden State Valkyries will accept it. And I'm parting ways with the 2026 first round pick. If you are a team in the WNBA that builds through free agency, you do not need draft picks. You've already got Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Caitlin Clark from your picks. Obviously, you didn't do what the Aces did and we'll get 3 firsts in a row. So you ended up with Alyssa Smith and had to get off her. But I like the team. And I think what's probably going to happen is Katie Lou they're going to move off Katie Lou. And heck, maybe they give up Katie Lou, Christy Wallace, and some of those picks just to free up space. And what that does is it allows you to go and pay maybe 120k. Katie Lou's contract is 180k, plus you've got 66 on Christy Wallace for 2 roster spots. And then if you can get off the 2 of them, that's what? That's 240k. It gives you 120k for 2 more roster spots. And you can then use that to get a true backup power forward, or you can maybe use that to get an athlete kind of power forward center type player. That could work. And you can use that for your backup point guard. Because there's no way the Fever are going to be using the Fever are going to risk the 18th and 19th pick being their backup point guard. Everyone talk about them signing Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, Victoria Saxton, and those 2 draft picks are competing for 1 spot on the team. Maybe 2. Maybe 2 spots on the team. But they're competing for realistically 1 spot on the team. And it is the last spot at the end of the bench. I don't think Jaylen Brown is bad. She's just not a point guard. You're like, oh, Jaylen Brown's a point guard. No, she's not. Jaylen Brown was thrown into that trade to literally make salary work. And the only team that had the cap space to take Jaylen Brown was the Indiana Fever. Hence why they had to get rid of Grace Berger. They had to get rid of Grace Berger in order to get Sophie Cunningham. Because of obviously bringing in Dewana Bonner with certain money. To get Sophie Cunningham in that trade, they had to cut Grace Berger because they needed to take on the Jaylen Brown salary. Simple as that. Because Phoenix, I don't think, wanted to. But they're not done yet. They are not done yet. This is the move that needs to be made for this to happen, for the Fever to get that backup point guard. The backup point guard does not exist in WNBA free agency, by the way. It doesn't. And for me, I've said it is maybe there's some weird trade they go and get Brittany Sykes. But that would involve probably giving up Lexi Hull. You would have to give the Mystics. You would probably have to give the Mystics a 2nd round pick in this year and 1st and 2nd round next year to not give up Lexi Hull. And I don't know if they're going to be able to afford Lexi Hull in 2026. Either way, though, that is a possibility. I'm looking at backup point guards around the W, and that's the only one that I can really think of that might be willing to come and be a backup. But yeah, it's it is an interesting situation. And the more I think about it, the more unlikely, especially with the moves they made, the Katie Lewis staying, and they are like 2 steps ahead of everybody else. I think like you're going to have to attach an asset to Katie Lou Samuelson, and you're going to have to attach an asset to get off Christy Wallace. But I also don't think Christy Wallace is a bad 12th player. She was a terrible starter. She's not that bad. There are worse players in the WNBA than Christy Wallace. But I don't think you would attach something to get off her. It's just it's guaranteed money if you wanted the roster spot for something else. But I'm fine with Christy Wallace sitting on the end of the bench. I'm absolutely fine with that. But at the same time, Katie Lou Samuelson sitting on the end of the bench making 180k. Especially because getting off Katie Lou Samuelson, it allows you to bring in 2 basically. It allows you to, if you get off Katie Lou Samuelson, it gives you whatever, 180k. Just getting off her alone. And then if you bring in 2 players, it means that the non-guaranteed money of Saxton, non-guaranteed money of Jaylen Brown, and your 2 second-round picks are all fighting for 1 spot and still going to be under the salary cap. So anyway, yeah, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.